2, 3, listen.
Welcome to the Brian for Mayor Digital Battle Bus. Welcome to Battle Bus Live. I am Brian Rose, and we are live here on the Digital Battle Bus, touring the boroughs of Barnet, of Enfield, of Harringay, and Harrow. We are super excited to be here. I just went right up through Wood Green, right by where my good friend Sully Breaks lives. He's a old guest of the show. He's interviewed me many times on London Real. We're not going into Enfield. We're super excited to get out to every single borough in London. That's what we're doing here with the Digital Battle Bus in a COVID-secure manner. I'm live, and I'm looking for your comments on all of the platforms you're watching this. So wherever you're at, Instagram, YouTube, Periscope, Facebook, leave me a comment below. I'm literally going to read them out live so I can answer your questions. The truth is this: every borough in London has its unique challenges, and it's important for me as your next mayor of London to get out here on the streets and look at the problems you're facing, and for us to come up for solutions together to those problems. Today, I'm going to be talking about some very serious issues that Barnet is facing, Enfield, Haringey, and Harrow, and a lot of other boroughs in London are facing that the mayor's just not addressing. And so we need to talk about these things, and we're going to talk real today. Like I said, leave me your comments, share this video with someone who needs it, share this video with a friend of yours who still doesn't know what's happening here, because on May 6th, we plan on becoming the next mayor of London, and we're super excited here. So again, we are coming through some incredible boroughs here. First of all, Barnet, what a great borough. It's the home of Hampstead Heath, and Hampstead Heath is a huge ancient green area covering 320 hectares. It's one of the highest points in London. It goes from Hampstead to Highgate. It's a place that I go every single weekend. I run the Heath on Saturdays. I jump into the freezing men's pond every Saturday. I do backflips in there. You might have seen that. I actually train for my Ironman race in the Hampstead Heath. It's beautiful. It's home to Kenwood House as well. So thank you, Barnet, for that incredible contribution. It's also the home to the Royal Air Force Museum. This is at Hendon Aerodrome, and it showcases the history of British aviation and the Royal Air Force. I actually took my aunt and uncle from Arizona there with my daughter Gabby many years ago. It's an incredible place. So thank you so much, Barnet. Now we're heading into Enfield, and Enfield is the home of the Lee Valley Whitewater Center. It's a 31 million pound whitewater slalom center. This was constructed specifically for the 2012 London Olympics, and it's still being used today, which is incredible. And Enfield is also the home to the Edenites, which is a rock and hip hop band that I had on back in the day at London Real. They had a great hit song called Welcome to London, and like I said, they were early guests and early friends, and I just want to give those guys a shout out as well. Next, we're going to be going into Harrow, and Harrow is probably world known or world renowned for the Harrow School, which is an independent boarding school for boys founded in 1572 and considered to be one of the finest secondary schools in the world. So a big shout out to Harrow. And finally, going through Haringey, which is the home of Alexander Palace, also known as the Alley Pally, and it's a grade 2 listed entertainment and sports venue. It's also situated between Wood Green and Muswell Hill. They got a mean ice rink up there. I've taken my daughter Gabby, and they have some incredible grime shows with some incredible artists over the years. So again, thank you so much, Haringey. You bring a lot to this city, and we appreciate all of you. Today, I want to talk about some serious local issues that these boroughs are facing and many boroughs are facing in London. And the first thing I want to talk to you about in depth is the fact that I believe we have another fire tragedy waiting to happen. And right now, there's 150 buildings in London that are still wrapped in the same flammable cladding that caused the Grenfell tragedy nearly 4 years ago. I remember it very well. I was actually in Paris at the time interviewing Wyclef Jean of the Fugees for my show London Real, and I remember we were coming back in the train and we saw this just terrible tragedy. I drove by the Grenfell building 2 days ago when we were on our way out to Hounslow to do a charity drop, and it's a real tragedy. I've spoken in depth about this with the hip-hop artist Low-Key, who actually lives right next to Grenfell, who suffered from some of the toxic fumes and pollution that came from that fire that night, and who's been a really strong activist against what happened there and trying to get some accountability and some change to happen. So I want to talk about that in a serious manner today. I also want to talk about something called Street Space, which is the mayor's COVID pop-up cycling and walking scheme that he cooked up and pushed through during the pandemic. A recent high court ruling was against the mayor, and it called what he did unlawful, saying, quote, Sadiq Khan took advantage of the pandemic to push through these radical changes. They're talking about Street Space, and I want to talk about those issues with you today. So again, leave me your comments below. Tell me what borough you're in, what challenge you're facing, and what question you have for me. I want to talk about some detailed questions, and I'll be reading them out today. I want to just welcome you to the Digital Battle Bus, and this really isn't a bus. This is actually a mobile broadcasting studio, and you can see that I'm back here in multi-cameras. We can stream out to 1 billion people in the world right now, everything that we're talking about, and I can get into every single borough. I can literally see the churches I'm going by. I can see boarded up pubs. I can see tube stations that are being unused, and I know what's going on in these boroughs because I'm here on the ground. I'm also willing to be transparent with you and answer any question you want to ask me right now. This is the new era of politics, in my opinion, where we are transparent. I have built these media channels over the past 10 years. I've got 5 million viewers and subscribers. I've got 500 million views on my platforms, and it's so we can have these conversations, and we're going to have them today. But unfortunately, about 10 days ago, all of this was attempted to be shut down, and I was actually in the borough of Southwark. I was walking down the middle of the street with a Brian for Mayor umbrella in one hand and my iPhone in the other hand, talking to you on video. It's how I record my videos, and alone in the middle of the street, and suddenly I was surrounded by 10 City of London police officers. They arrived in 5 police vans. Needless to say, I was quite surprised, and they proceeded to detain me, fine me and 4 of my crew, and banned me from campaigning to be your next mayor of London. We thought there's something wrong with this. This doesn't feel like democracy. We believe in free and fair elections, and we think they should take place on May 6th, and the only way to do that is to make sure you have a choice when it comes to candidates. If you think about it, the current mayor of London has been unelected for the past 1 year. You never elected him to be in power in 2021. His term expired in May of last year. And so for them to try to not allow other voices to come out there and campaign, we thought was fundamentally wrong, which is why I sat down with my legal team only hours of later and cooked up this 5-page letter, which I sent to the police commissioners. It went out to Dame Cressida Dick, to Commissioner Ian Dyson, and Chief Constable Paul Crowther. They've all replied, acknowledging that they received the letter. Again, we are following the letter of the law and campaigning in a 100% COVID secure manner. And that's why we decided to continue campaigning. It hasn't been easy. On Tuesday of last week, this bus was pulled over by the Metropolitan Police. That's different than the City of London Police. So this is a coordinated attack that we believe is political somehow. We think that the current political organizations don't want our voice out there, and they don't want to give you a choice. And that's why every single day we are risking arrests. We are risking this bus being impounded so we can come out and give you an option on May 6th to choose your next leader. And you have to ask yourself, do you want 3 more years of this? I don't think you do, and you should have a choice. And we encourage all parties to find a safe way to campaign, and that could be Labour, Conservatives, Lib Dems, Greens, whoever. Find a way to campaign, and we are moving forward. Again, this bus is 100% COVID safe. It's sprayed with an antiviral fog every night. Everyone entering it is temperature checked, wearing face masks, hand sanitizer is used. These are the same protocols that are being used in London right now to film television series and movies as well. So we are following those to the letter of the law, which is probably why we've been followed by police, but we have not been pulled over now in about 8 days. So it could happen right now live, but I'm hoping it doesn't, because I want to talk about some important topics today. So again, last thing I want to say, a lot of you have been calling out and asking the mayor a simple question. When will you debate Brian Rose? And it's one that so far he's ignored. He's had about 5 days to respond, and I said, Mr. Mayor, I will debate you anywhere, anyhow, anytime. And he hasn't yet responded. He can come to London Real Studios and we can broadcast it. We can do it on Zoom. We can do it on the mainstream media channel of his choice. All I want to do is talk about the facts. I am very critical of the mayor's failure when it comes to tackling knife crime, his failure when it comes to building affordable housing, his failure when it comes to getting our economy back on track, his failure to keep our transport system out of bankruptcy. I'm very clear about that, but the data speaks for itself, and if he wants to debate this in an open manner, I welcome it. Let's let the voters decide. Let's give you both options. The truth is, I am the only person who can beat Sadiq Khan at this point. So let's debate the two of us and let's the voters decide. Let's allow the democratic process to happen. If you want to find out what the status of that is, go on his social medias and say, Mr. Mayor, when will you debate Brian Rose? If you can do that, that would help us advance this, because I'm still waiting for an answer. So let's talk about some very serious issues that I want to talk about today. First of all, I want to hear from you. Again, all of your comments are coming directly to this iPad. I'm going to read them out. I've never read these questions before, and this is how transparent I am as your next mayor of London. The first question I want you to answer is, what borough do you live in? What is your biggest challenge, and what question would you like me to ask when I visit you? You can also submit your questions on my website, brianformayor.london/bus. There's a form. You can also volunteer. You can also download and print out our posters, etc. Second question I want you to answer: are you frustrated with the mayor's street space scheme? It's very hard to say that one. Are you also frustrated with low traffic neighborhoods, something we spoke about yesterday at length? And do you believe the mayor of London is out of touch with the citizens of this city? Answer that question for me now. Thirdly, are you frustrated with the lack of progress in removing flammable cladding from 150 buildings in London? This is the same material that was responsible for the Grenfell tragedy. Leave me your comment. And finally, do you think that free and fair elections should be allowed to take place on May 6th? And do you think we need a new direction? Do you think we need an independent vision? Do you think London needs new leadership? Leave me your comments below, and I'm going to go to them very shortly. Let me talk about some of the issues that the boroughs are facing that I'm in right now here on the ground. Barnet. Barnet is now struggling. The unemployment rate in Barnet could hit 10% this year, according to an article that was released yesterday, which would equate to 30,000 people unemployed in the borough of Barnet. It's really unacceptable. It's one of the reasons my Get London Back to Work policy is my main policy, and it's so important. But Barnet has other struggles as well. Recently, 1,000 signatures for a, quote, no building on Barnet Parks petition. It urged the council to scrap plans to restrict access and reduce space at any Barnet parks by building solar panel farms, expanding substations, or building electricity storage units on our green spaces. The people of Barnet have spoken. They believe that you've got to leave those green spaces to do what they do best and allow a green experience for the citizens and not to build on those, and we support the citizens of Barnet in those aims. Next, let's talk about Enfield. There has been a call to remove Enfield's low traffic neighborhoods that's just been rejected, and 2 large traffic reduction schemes will now remain in place despite claims that they are causing major problems for residents, and I quote, roads are now too dangerous to cross and people are less inclined to walk. The increased pollution and travel times, and consequently delays to bus journeys and the emergency services, are maximizing the very matters that low traffic networks were supposed to prevent. And again, this shows how much the mayor is out of touch. I spoke with people in Ealing a few days ago that were extremely frustrated with their LTNs, literally almost shouting their frustrations out. We did an entire episode and talk about the struggles of the people in Sutton and Merton and Richmond and Kingston. And so many boroughs are frustrated because LTNs aren't working. The mayor is completely out of touch. He's done them because I think it makes him look like he's green, but they're causing more damage. They need to be consulted with the stakeholders before they're applied, and they need to be monitored with real KPIs. The other thing that people in Enfield are concerned about is that no progress has been made after Grenfell, and we're nearly 4 years later, and almost 150 London buildings, many of those are here in Enfield, where I am right now, are still wrapped in that same flammable cladding, according to the latest government data. And the London Fire Brigade, for which the mayor is responsible, has completed only 4 of the 29 recommendations that have come from the Grenfell inquiry. And meanwhile, just recently, the mayor has decided to defund the fire brigade by £25 million. And this is of real concern to me, the citizens of Enfield, and the citizens of London. There's been a major failure here, and the mayor has refused to take responsibility. In my book, you always go to the top, and the person at the top has to take responsibility. It's been nearly 4 years. we don't see these changes happening. And I'm asking you, Mr. Mayor, what are you going to do about it? Because we are holding you accountable. Next, I want to talk about Harrow, as I think we're making our way towards that borough as we speak. Yesterday was the 16th anniversary of the Harrow Court fire. And this is when two brave firefighters tragically died while attending a horrific fire at the Harrow Court building as they bravely went up the tower to attempt to rescue two of those people stuck inside. This horrible tragedy was also featured in the 2018 BBC Two documentary, The Fires That Foretold Grenfell, as one of the 5 fires that foretold and may have prevented the Grenfell disaster in 2017, in which 72 people died. Again, I've had a long conversation with the hip-hop artist Low-Key on my show London Real about the Grenfell tragedy. He's been a huge activist when it comes to what was happening, what companies were responsible, how they were complicit with the government, and now how they have still not been held responsible. And now we've got 150 buildings still with the same cladding. We are frustrated, and we look to you, Mr. Mayor. What are you doing? And I think the answer is not enough. Next, I want to talk about Haringey. Haringey Council is looking to take back control of its housing because of a shocking lack of affordable new homes built under the current mayor. I have exposed the current mayor. In the last 5 years, he should have built 400,000 new homes. Do you know how many he started? He started building only 34,000. He's completed 12,000 of the 400,000 new homes that he promised. That's 3% of what he promised. And we wonder why rents are so high. We wonder why housing prices are so high. We wonder why homeless is an issue. We wonder why our key workers, like our nurses and our firefighters and our teachers, are unable to afford to live in this city. It's a shame, and the people of Haringey are noting that as well. Also, just days ago, a teenager in Haringey was rushed to the hospital with stab wounds following a fight on a London bus. This young man was 15 years old. And it goes to show you the repeated failure when it comes to tackling knife crime of your current mayor. The 100th teenager has been murdered, and that is on your mayor of London. It's his fault, and he is not taking action. And we see these knife crime rates going higher and higher and higher, and we need a solution. And so again, I want to get your questions right now. I want to hear from you about what you're thinking right now. I want to know, which borough do you live in? What's the single biggest challenge? And what question would you like to ask me when I visit? I want to also find out, are you frustrated with the low traffic neighborhoods, the street-based scheme, and also, is the mayor of touch completely out of touch with the local residents? Are you frustrated with the lack of progress in removing flammable cladding from the 150 buildings in London, which is the same material responsible for the Grenfell tragedy? And do you think that free and fair elections should take place on May 6th? And do you think we need new leadership, new vision, and new ideas to take London in a new direction? I'm going to go right now to your comments here, and there's a ton coming in. I appreciate everybody here on Instagram clicking in, and on YouTube, and all of these. So I really appreciate these comments. We've actually got someone who left us a comment on our website as well, and that's Monica from Havering, and she says, "Hi Brian, we would like to meet you and offer support and help in Havering Borough, but are waiting for you to come to our area. We are happy to volunteer, spreading flyers and doing other work that needs to be done to help you win. Your win is our win. Please let us know how we can attend the bus tour locations and also how we can help." Thank you so much. We've actually been through Havering, but we're going to be coming back. This tour is going to continue over the next few months, all the way up until May 6th. For anybody watching me right now, you can help in so many ways. First of all, you can like and comment on this video. Next of all, you can share this video on all of your social media platforms with your email list. You can tell people, you've got to find out what's going on here. We've got to vote for Brian to be the next mayor of London. You can come to our website, brianformayor.london. You can volunteer. You can share our videos and our posts. You can print out our posters. And you can also submit more questions for me. So that's the best way to help. The truth is, unless we all get out and vote on May 6th, we are going to have 3 more years of what's been happening here, and I think that's unacceptable. The truth is, the current mayor isn't out here campaigning because he knows he's going to get your vote. You voted for his party, and because your parents voted for his party, and he knows he doesn't need to come up with great policies, or he knows he doesn't need to answer your difficult questions, so he's at his top floor office in his glass building, creating policies that aren't in the best interests of the citizens. And some other comments coming in here from Instagram. I got Jill Cole on YouTube actually that says, where in Haringey are you going and at what time? Actually, we just went through Wood Green earlier. We're going to try to be circling back around as well. and give us a honk if you can. I know Joel was saying he suggested Muswell Hill and Crouch End as well. I've got Bruce Blake on YouTube that says, let's go. I've got Priv David on Instagram that says, hey Brian, hope you're well. When are you visiting the boroughs of Merton or Sutton? We were actually there yesterday, went through both of those, and we're gonna be back, don't you worry, as well. I got Mofats787 on Instagram says, I have no questions, just win please for humanity's sake. And thank you so much, we appreciate that. There's been so much good feeling out there, and all of this energy really helps me a lot. We've got Hey Astula on Instagram that says, all in my household voting for a truth teller, you. Thank you so much. I've got Gabs Hibbert on Instagram that says, let's go Brian, you are the man. I've got Cam93 on Instagram says, hello sir. Could you tell me what you will be doing for housing for us young people to actually bring in an affordable housing system? And it's a great question, and I've spoken at length about what I plan to do on housing. The truth is, as I said earlier, your mayor has failed you when it comes to building affordable housing. Only 3% of what he built has actually, what he said he was built has been completed. I have a plan to use modular housing to build 50,000 new homes by Christmas of this year. That would almost quadruple what the mayor has done in 5 years. I've got top architects in this city that have contacted me and said, Brian, we love your scheme. We're going to work for you pro bono to get these homes built because we love London the same way you love London. And I appreciate them, and I'm going to show you what we can do with just good ideas, with a lack of agenda, without messing with the two-party system. This is what independent leadership can do, and we're gonna bring you solutions. So I appreciate that. I got J Studio NY on Instagram says, hello Brian, voting for you. You seem to be the best candidate, someone that actually thinks independently, and I appreciate, you know, I don't have to get my ideas approved by a council or a committee or a party. I don't have corporate donors, or I don't have some strange backroom deals, and I don't have some political career to worry about. All I have is the best ideas. I bring them to you. If you think they're great ideas, then we go forward with them. That's how this works. I don't claim to have all the answers, but I do claim to be able to figure out those solutions, and that's what we're going to do today. I've got Stan Dupe on YouTube that says, what would you do about the congestion charge? My plan is to put a congestion charge holiday for 6 months. That's going to increase commerce, get people back in the city of London, and get people incredibly active here. It's so important. And then after that, we are going to work on reducing traffic and making sure that this city runs and runs green as well. Got a couple more questions. Laura on Instagram, who's been a fan for a long time, says, thanks for all that you're doing, Brian. We appreciate you. I've got Jewel54 on Instagram that says, Sadiq has ruined London. I think you're right. And William Freer on YouTube says, what would be your plan to protect black London taxis short and long term? And I'll talk about this shortly, but I've had Steve McNamara, the chairman of the LTDA, the London Taxi Drivers Association, on my show. We spoke in length about his 18,000 members. We've spoken about the street space scheme and how it's doing untold damage to the taxi tag drivers. I'm a big fan of promoting entrepreneurs. Taxi drivers are entrepreneurs. I am pro-business, and I'm going to be bringing business solutions to London. When we strengthen the economy, we strengthen all things. And one last comment here. I got Jess on Instagram that says simply, quote, you will be the best leader of London. Go Brian. Thank you so much. I appreciate all this energy, and I appreciate all the support. Again, help me share this video. We are going to get this movement from the ground up. It's the people, and we're going to do this through social media, through Instagram, through YouTube. That's the only way we're going to make this happen. Make sure you register to vote. Go to votefirst.london, and on May 6th, let's make this happen. We demand free and fair elections, which is why we're out here campaigning as we speak. So I want to go back and talk about my second point here, and really talk about an issue here that is hanging over all of our heads, and it's something we need to talk seriously about. And that is that I believe there's another fire tragedy just waiting to happen here in London. And we all know it's been nearly 4 years since the Grenfell fire tragedy claimed the lives of 72 people. Like I said, I was in Paris at the time, filming an episode for London Real. It was Wyclef Jean of the Fugees, and I remember coming back on the train and seeing these horrific footage. We had the artist Loki on the show, and we spoke in depth about who was responsible, who do we hold accountable, and what he witnessed that night. He lives literally next door to Grenfell. We spoke in depth about these issues on London Real because it's important to talk about this and to speak the truth about this. What it means is this, is that right now almost 150 buildings in London are still wrapped with the same flammable cladding, and that means that 200,000 Londoners are living in homes that have been made unsafe. The potential repair bill is between 65,000 to 100,000 pounds each for each one of these homes. So we're in this very difficult, untenable situation. Now, almost a year after Sir Martin Moore-Bick, the chairman of the Grenfell Inquiry, published 29 recommendations to be made by your mayor of London, he's completed only 4 of those recommendations. 4 years later, that's completely unacceptable. And meanwhile, he's just defunded the London Fire Brigade by £25 million. And one resident right here in Enfield, which I'm going through right now, said, quote, "The fact that we could be going bankrupt is so stressful. It's all out of our control. We feel so powerless." This is one of the people there. Another person commented, quote, "There needs to be a game changer in the government's acceptance of responsibility. These buildings should never have been signed off." And I think we're feeling some of the frustration that the whole city has felt. And again, we see a lack of accountability. And the truth is there's been little progress since Grenfell. There's thousands living in unsafe accommodations, and the government and the mayor and the councils keep blaming each other. The truth is the man at the top needs to accept responsibility. He needs to make sure something happens. It's been nearly 4 years, and I ask you, Sadiq Khan, what have you actually done? I see you out there criticizing and laying blame, but you're the mayor of this city. What have you done about this? I see no evidence of you doing anything. And so I want to get your comments. First of all, tell me, of course, what borough do you live in? Tell me, what is the biggest challenge you face? What's the question you want to ask me? And tell me, be honest, are you frustrated with the lack of progress in removing flammable cladding from 150 buildings in London? It's the same material responsible for the Grenfell tragedy. Also, tell me, how do you feel about these low traffic neighborhoods, this street space scheme that the mayor pushed through under the COVID pandemic? Do you think the mayor is out of touch with London residents? And finally, do you think that free and fair elections should take place on May 6th? Do you think we need to take London in a new direction? Do you think we need an independent voice and new ideas to move forward? So I want to get your comments here right now. Again, wherever you are right now, leave me a comment below. If you're watching this later, leave me a comment as well. I try to get in here and answer these afterwards. But tell me, I want to get your comments. I want to read them out here live and find out exactly what's going on with you, because they're important to me. I want to start with our website, and I've got Michaela from Wandsworth, and she says, quote, "Brian, where can I watch your live streams from the bus? Also, I live in Wandsworth, which has recently seen so many restrictions imposed to the roads and road access overnight without any prior consultation from the tax-paying residents. This has made it impossible to drive anywhere, causing huge congestion and pollution. I am a healthcare worker and need to travel to work. How is this right or helpful in any way right now? It has left residents feeling powerless and angry." And first of all, Michele, I really appreciate that. I have got thousands and thousands of comments on my website and our social media channels from Londoners that are frustrated because they know the mayor of London is out of touch with the citizens. First of all, to answer your questions, you can get all of our live streams on Instagram, YouTube, Periscope, Twitter, Facebook. They're always happening all the time. You can watch all of our old episodes on YouTube, on our website, brianformayor.london, and of course on London Real. The truth is that these low traffic networks were a grand scheme that was pushed through by the mayor of London without actually being held accountable to local residents. And I was in Ealing dropping off food to the St. John's Food Bank a couple days ago. And a meeting with a guy named Alan Simpson, is doing incredible work helping people eat in these difficult times. And a gentleman named Mark, so frustrated, shouted at me from the street as I was walking back into my bus, and he said, "Brian, these low traffic neighborhoods are ruining us." He said, "I'm getting fined for visiting my family." He said, "Ambulances can't make pickups to people in need." He said, "Businesses are going bankrupt and emissions are going higher." And I said, "Mark, well, first of all, hold on. I'm not mayor yet. I didn't do this, but I want to listen." And he said, "Well, no one's been listening to me. We're all frustrated. The mayor is out of touch, and they're using us as citizens to make money through taxes." He says, "That's not fair." And it really bothered me that the city thought that they could make taxes from the citizens with these schemes when they're supposed to be reducing emissions. And it's frustrating, especially to see someone like a healthcare worker who's struggling with these issues. And I think it goes to show that the mayor is completely out of touch with the citizens. And these low traffic networks, these extension of the congestion charges, the extensions of the ULEZ zones, and these street space schemes, they are all hurting us drastically. And it's something that we're really going to have to look in as we move forward, and it's a real concern. And so I just want to say I appreciate all the comments coming through here as well. I want to go for one more comment here. I've got Cameron from Hammersmith and Fulham who is asking via the website. He says, first of all, thank you for taking the time to visit our borough and for all your good work via the London Real program. Any ideas on what to do with all the empty shops on the high streets that are in decline? Do you have any plans to introduce more plant life, including trees and foraging in our beautiful city? And Cameron, I really appreciate your time. We are going to Hammersmith and Fulham tomorrow. The truth is this. We need to get London back to work. And I can't say this enough times. I was speaking with a newspaper journalist this morning from via Zoom from my office, and I said, when we strengthen the London economy, we strengthen everything. When people can start making money again, when they can get back to work, when they can start saving again, we can start being functional. It improves our mental health. Our children can get back to school. Everything I want to do is find safe ways that we can get our economy back to work. The reason London exists is because it started thousands of years ago as a center of commerce. And yet our current mayor of London, he almost campaigned for the lockdown. Busy when months ago, when the mayor of Manchester was trying to protect the entrepreneurs and trying to keep COVID-safe businesses from being closed, the mayor of London was almost campaigning for a lockdown. He was telling us it was happening. It's almost as if he wants to see entrepreneurs and businesses fail in London. And I think that's the wrong perspective. I come from 30 years in the business world. I've worked in aerospace, I've worked in automotive, I've worked in finance in the City of London and in Wall Street. I've worked in tech startup, I've worked in new media, I've worked in digital education, and I know how to get deals done. I know how to get businesses back to work, and it takes innovation. It takes new ideas. It takes solving problems. All the current mayor does is use fear as a weapon. He knows one mode, which is lockdown. That's not how we're going to solve our problems. We need a roadmap out of this current lockdown situation. We need to give entrepreneurs and business leaders a timetable of when we can be expected to rebuild and get business back to work. That's what I plan to do as your next mayor of London. You know, I spoke to Marie in Ealing just a few days ago. She's had a hairstylist on the avenue in Ealing for 46 years. She said, Brian, they shut my business down in 30 minutes. I had 30 minutes notice, and they've given me no plan. I've got hairstylists that need to work. My business is potentially going to be destroyed forever. Why can't they give us a timeline? The mayor says nothing. And I said, I know exactly how you feel. You know, uncertainty is the bane of any entrepreneur, and I want to give us a roadmap out of this problem. So I appreciate your comment. A few more things coming in here from Instagram. I got Robertson on Instagram saying a big fan from Scotland. So thank you so much. I got Kieran on YouTube that says, good luck, Brian. We need someone who has British people's interest as a priority instead of this unelected, phony Mayor Khan. He will not debate you because you have the people behind you. Those are strong words, Kieran, and I think I might have to agree with you. I don't expect him to debate me because I don't think he can stand up to the facts against him. And again, the people are behind me, and it's such an honor to represent you. I feel like I am just a vehicle of great ideas and the great energy from the people of London. So thank you for standing behind me. I've got Long Reach One on YouTube that says, Brian is fast becoming a thorn in their side. The truth is we are in second place for this race. We've been in second place for months. There are two candidates in this race. The incumbent mayor, who in my opinion has destroyed London in the past 5 years, and there's me, the only viable challenger. Do you want 3 more years of this? That's my question. Or do you want new ideas and solutions? On May 6th, you can vote and answer that question. We've got eScorpio that says, quote, knife crime is off the bloody charts. I'm voting for Brian. And if you look at the detail, and I've done an entire hour episode of this on my Real Deal show, where I've shown the exact statistics. Again, the 100th teenager murdered on Sadiq Khan's watch. That's unacceptable. Knife crime is at nightmare proportions, and it continued to goes up because he has no solution. I have a solution for policing, for building our communities to where we can stop the knife crime. And we can make it happen on May 6th. I've got Mama Bear on YouTube. It's a great name. Says, quote, what will you do about knife crime and the current structure of the police in London? I've spoken with high-level police officers, and we've talked about solutions. It includes empowering the police, training the police, digitizing the police. But what I want to do is invest in our communities. There is a precedent for getting corporate donations into community centers. Jamal Edwards, who's been a guest on my show, the founder of SBTV, He has secured hundreds of thousands of pounds in donations to the Acton Community Center. We want to use the same model to invest in our community centers, and that is one of the many ways we will reduce knife crime, by really giving our young people options, and that's going to make a massive difference. A couple more things. I got all the way up on Instagram. It says, Brian Rose, a living legend. Thank you so much. Those kind words really give me a lot of fuel, so I really appreciate you. I've got JD Consistency on Instagram that says, Brian Rose is consistent, 100, he's got this. So thank you very much. I appreciate your support. And I've got Akiyama Jazz on Instagram saying, hello from the Philippines. I have high hopes for London if you become mayor. And the truth is, I think we will be a model for all cities around the world. So let's do this, London. All right, the final point I want to talk about is street space. And this is the mayor's COVID pop-up cycling and walking schemes that he pushed through during the pandemic when nobody was watching, and the High Court recently ruled that the Mayor of London acted unlawfully with his latest road scheme called Street Space. Mrs. Justice Lang ruled that Sadiq Khan took advantage of the pandemic, unquote, to push through, quote, radical changes, unquote. And after a case was brought by two taxi organizations, including the LTDA, the head of which, Steve McNamara, was on my show 5 or 6 months ago, and we were talking about the struggles of the LTDA and his 18,000 members. And again, I am a big fan of taxi drivers because they're entrepreneurs. They invest 3 years of their life learning the knowledge so they know what the streets are. They invest 60, 70,000 pounds sometimes in the latest electric taxi cab drivers, and yet the mayor goes out of his way to sabotage their businesses oftentimes, and I take a taxi home every single night. And I just want to shout out Isa from Somalia, who I was talking to the other night when I went home. We were talking about the same issue, and he said, Brian, you're going to win. He said, what has the mayor done in 5 years? Name one thing. And neither of us could name a single thing. And he said, I'm so frustrated because handicapped people, they have no means of transportation right now on Bishopsgate because of this street space scheme. And he said Sadiq Khan doesn't recognize that taxi drivers are actually part of TfL and a necessary part of transport in London. I think that's ridiculous. I think it's disrespectful to the hundreds of years old taxi driver industry, and I think it's disrespectful to entrepreneurs in general. And it just goes to show you how the mayor operates. And so I'm so happy that the High Court ruled in the favor of so many people that were against this. And again, they called the scheme, quote, an ill thought out response, and they called it unfair. And the reality is that the mayor should apologize for pushing these plans through as a temporary measure, quote unquote. That way he avoided the typical level of public scrutiny and consultation. And like I said before, handicapped citizens have no other options than to use black taxis in these areas, and they are banned from these areas. This is thoughtless and senseless to our handicapped citizens. And I believe that the mayor should compensate taxi drivers whose business has been badly hit by the lockdown and these schemes. But of course, in the meantime, the mayor has announced that he will appeal the decision. And wait for this. The decision currently remains in place because it was brought in as a temporary measure. So while the appeal is being heard, these schemes, which have been deemed unlawful, are still in place because the mayor put them through these temporary means, which means it didn't have to go through the usual due diligence. So again, I think this judgment has left many questions unanswered about the knock-on effects for schemes across the capital, including LTNs and low traffic networks. And again, the current mayor avoids discussions and consultations at all stages. He's unelected, he's unaccountable, and he is avoiding scrutiny. So I want to hear your questions right now and your answers. First of all, this is the last chance you've got to ask me questions, so give me your best. Tell me, what borough are you in, and what is your biggest challenge? What question would you like to ask me when I visit? Tell me, are you frustrated with the street space scheme? Are you frustrated with these low traffic neighborhoods? Are you frustrated with how the mayor is completely out of touch with the local residents? Next, tell me, are you frustrated with the lack of progress in removing the flammable cladding from 150 buildings here in London? It's the same material responsible for the Grenfell tragedy. And finally, do you think that free and fair elections should be allowed to take place on May 6th? And do you think we need new leadership, new vision, and new ideas to take London in a new direction? I'm going to go to your questions or to your answers right now. Again, no matter where you are, on whatever platform you're at, make sure that you type in an answer to the question. It could be on Instagram, it could be on YouTube, It could be on any one of these platforms, but type in a question. Again, you can always go to our website, brianformayor.london. It's an incredible place where you can actually type in a question and then go ahead to brianformayor.london/bus. You can submit a question. You can also go on in there and you can share with our sharing features. You can also download and print some of our posters. We're going through some nice little bumps here as we go along the way. And you can also look about our 12 detailed policies. Again, I have 12 detailed policies on our solutions for London. I also have 12 videos, and they'll tell you exactly what our plans are from there. So some great comments coming in here from YouTube. I've got Tobias Isaacson that says, quote, Mayor Brian, big heart, the future looks good. Another big heart. Thank you, Tobias. I appreciate it. We really believe that as your next mayor of London, we're going to take this city to a new direction. I really believe we can make London a world-class city once again. Honestly, when I close my eyes, I can see it. I visualize the future of London, and it's great. You know, the economy is back and better than before. We lead the world when it comes to cities that have shown how we can recover from COVID and put all this stuff into place. And I'm so excited to get into place, but it's got to happen May 6th with your vote here in London. We've got to mobilize, because the truth is that the current mayor, he expects you to vote for him. He knows you're going to re-elect him, and that's why he's not out here campaigning. That's why he's not out here having these difficult questions. And I just want to say I'm passing the Green Dragon pub here in a beautiful, beautiful green area here. I'm sure we're somewhere in the borough of Harrow, and it's absolutely gorgeous. So it's great to be out here in these boroughs. I want to go some more questions here. I've got Nirga Vinchester on Instagram that says, you're the man for the job. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I got Diango Reloaded, and I remember Diango for those previous questions on YouTube that says, quote, if everybody watching this video votes for Brian, we've got this election in the bag. And I agree with you. If we could just get all of the followers and the viewers right now, all the people that have commented on my videos, all the people that have liked my videos, first of all, register to vote. Go to votefirst.london. It'll take you 5 minutes. We set up this website. Literally take you 5 minutes. You'll get a letter in the post from your council, and you can be registered to vote. That's important. Now, I met a lot of people on the streets that say, Brian, I don't vote. I don't believe it works. Okay, but this is our only chance to make change. So if you believe in me, if you believe in London, if you believe in our future together, if you believe in great ideas, you've got to vote. Otherwise, this isn't going to happen by magic, and it's not going to happen for all of us hoping it's going to happen. You've got to take action. So register to vote, and then get out there on May 6th and send a signal to the Mayor of London, to City Hall, and send a signal that you want change. So I appreciate that for you, Diango. I've got Azalun on YouTube that says, quote, this is the first I've heard of Brian. He speaks more sense than Sadiq, who has failed London, and I appreciate that. I'm so glad you heard from me for the first time. And again, that's a great thing. If you're watching me now and your friends and family haven't heard of me, share this video now. Share it on your YouTube, share it on your Instagram, share it on your Facebook. I've got a couple last comments here that I'm going to go through here before I go. But again, let people know about it because it's a new voice. And I've got Rafa Costa 1106 on Instagram that says, what are your plans for the hospitality sector? I'm so glad you asked me that. You know, getting London back to work means getting our hospitality sector back to work. And the truth is, our pubs, our restaurants, our cafes, our nightclubs, they're responsible for 15% of the GDP in this country and of the employees. That's sometimes up to 10 million people in this country. And the truth is this, the hospitality sector has proven that they can safely operate in a COVID environment. Only 3% of transmissions, according to Public Health England's own data, was taking place in our pubs and our restaurants, and I think we can find a way to get them safely back to work right now. And so I want to promote the hospitality sector. I want to empower them. And that's why I was out in Fitzrovia only months ago, sitting down with Peter Dorr-Smith, the founder of the coffee chain Caffeine. And I was sat down with him in his pub, and he said, Brian, look what we're doing here. And he took me out to the street, and he said, look at these parking spaces. I'm putting tables out here. But the mayor, via the Westminster Council, is trying to charge me thousands of pounds for these tables just to keep my business going. I'm employing 22 people in times of crisis. He said, why isn't the mayor helping us? He's completely out of touch with entrepreneurs. He said, Brian, you understand what it's like to run a business. I'm sure you can help me. And literally, days after I broadcast that, they changed the policy. They allowed him to continue operating. So it shows we have a lot of power with these digital networks. We have a lot of power with our voices. I understand the struggles of local businesses. I understand the struggles of our theater industry, our culture industry here in London. I've had one of the heads of the London tourist bus, the open air buses, in my studio talking about their struggles from the tourism industry. I've had people from the theaters industry. I've had people from the taxi driving industry. I've had people of entrepreneurs of all sectors. I've had economists in here talking about how lockdown is costing us more than it's saving, and it's not a viable alternative moving forward. I have spoken with more people on my broadcasting platform, London Real, than the mayor of London has spoken to in the past 6 months. And the truth is I have all the answers, and I'm looking forward to providing solutions for you. And again, please submit your last few questions here. I want to find out from you, and I want to close with some final thoughts here about what the mayor is doing. And I was extremely frustrated to see an article that was posted today in the Times that said this: Sadiq Khan, post-COVID tourism needed to boost London economy. And it went on to say that Sadiq Khan has said it is absolutely vital to support London's businesses, and he called on for the government to continue to support its support for businesses. And honestly, this made me laugh, and then it made me sad, and then it made me angry, because Sadiq Khan has been doing everything possible to not support businesses for the past 6 months. He's the one that tried to close down your businesses. He's the one that shut down the hospitality sector when they were operating in a COVID-safe manner. He's the one that penalized taxi cab drivers for trying to get out there and make a living and provide a basis for the economy. This man knows one mode: it's lockdown. Then he asks for bailouts from the government, and it's never his fault. It's always Boris Johnson's fault. It's always the Conservatives' fault. He never takes ownership for any problem, including the cladding on the buildings, including Grenfell, including his failings on the economy, including his failings on knife crime. He never takes responsibility for his lack of affordable housing. He never takes responsibility for nearly bankrupting TfL twice this year. And let's be clear, the TfL was going bankrupt even before COVID happened. This man constantly passes the buck. Then he publicly blames things for happening that he is responsible for. The truth is that everyone can see through this. You can see through this. You don't need me in the back of a bus streaming live to you to point out how our mayor constantly lies to us. He breaks his promises. He's failed us as a mayor. And the truth is simply this: the mayor doesn't care about Londoners. Everyone can see it in his actions. He's above us. He's worried about his next job that he wants to get as prime minister. This is just a stepping stone in his long political career, and we are all paying the price for it. And that's the reason I decided to put my business on hold and my personal life on hold, my family on hold, to be your next mayor of London, because I can't sit by and watch this current crop of politicians run the city I love, London, into the ground. I've been here for 21 years. This city has given me everything. It's giving me my business. It's giving me my family. It's giving me my livelihood. I named my business London Real after this incredible city. And the truth is that I am the only person that can defeat Sadiq Khan. So on May 6th, you've got a choice: 3 more years of business as usual, or you can vote for an independent voice, a voice that is constantly being held accountable to you, one that speaks with you live on video every single day. I'm looking where the best idea wins. I don't care if the idea is a conservative idea, or a left idea, or a Labour idea, or a Lib Dem idea. As long as it's best for the citizens of London, I want to implement it. The truth is, we can solve these problems in a matter of months. But if you stick with the current mayor, these problems will never be solved, and they'll probably get worse. So I just want to say thank you one more time to everybody who's come in here and given me your comments. A couple asks coming in here. I got Graham Smith on YouTube saying, "Never mind, Mayor of London. We need new vision for the whole of the UK. Brian for Prime Minister." All right, Graham, I appreciate that. And a lot of people are saying that too. Let's focus on London. We got a lot of issues here, but I really believe we can make incredible change. I've got John Care Lester on Instagram that says, "You're a vehicle of sheer grace." Thank you, John. I appreciate you. The truth is, I have an incredible team behind me, and I have incredible support in the streets. I mean, last night I was filming a video. You can watch it on my YouTube channel. Literally, a bus driver's honking his horn. He stopped to have a conversation with me and said, "Brian, we're supporting you from the ground up." People honk their horns. People walk by and say, "I'm voting for you." we're doing this together. So thank you, John. I appreciate that. I'm just a vehicle, I think, for your energy and your voice. A couple last comments here. I can't help but read them out. We've got Real Hugh James on Instagram saying, Brian has winning odds. Let's do this. And it's truth. Even the bookmakers put me in second place, soon to be first place. So look out, Mr. Mayor. We are coming. And I want to say F100 on YouTube says, I am fed up with all the road closures. It causes more pollution and traffic. The mayor don't care about the people. Brian for mayor, unquote. You're right, and the people know that. Again, I was in Ealing a few days ago. Every single person that walked by my bus was hearing what Mark was shouting at me, and they all voiced the same concerns. They're frustrated with the mayor's policies. They're frustrated with these low traffic neighborhoods. They're frustrated with the increase in congestion charge. They're frustrated with the increase in emissions, and they're frustrated to have a leader that simply just doesn't care. It's time for change, and I appreciate your thoughts on that. We got Lottie Martin on YouTube that says, quote, I think it's really important to talk to different and a range of opinions and learn what and how people are very loving, intelligent, with amazing individual insights. Love the bus, Brian, and I appreciate that. We're trying to just bring you all the information and all the energy with what we feel here, and we want you to be a decision maker and give us the feedback so we can make the policy. And of course, I got Sully Breaks on Instagram. I was waiting for Sully to come in here. And again, Sully is an incredible, incredible individual and human being. He is one of the original spoken word artists. I had him back on my show, London Real, I think 7 years ago. He actually interviewed me on London Real, and I spoke about a lot of my struggles when I was a younger man, struggles with identity, struggles with addiction, struggles with knowing who I was. And Sully's always been there for me. And he said, quote, driving through North London, who will support your campaign without a party behind me? And it's a great question, Sully, and I like Sully because he asks me hard questions. And the truth is this, Sully, I am more capable and I think more powerful without a party. Because if I was part of the Labour Party right now, or the Conservative Party, or even part of the Lib Dems or the Green Party, I couldn't even be having this conversation live. Everything I said would have to be approved by a committee. It would have to be checked with all the MPs of that party and make sure I wasn't saying something bad about their district or one of their policies. I would have to check with my corporate donors and all my fundraisers. I'd have to check with all the MPs on their backroom deals that they're involved in, make sure I wasn't doing anything against them. The truth is as an independent candidate, that's the only way I can create these changes for London. And for me, the best idea wins. I'm completely transparent. My only agenda is to make London better and to serve the 9 million citizens of London. So quite frankly, I'm glad not to have a party. I don't want a party behind me. If anything, we're going to form our own party, and we'll create our own party that only we have to answer to. And I think that's the way we're going to move forward. Again, gone are the two-party political system that for hundreds of years have dominated politics and, in my opinion, failed the citizens of London and failed the citizens of the UK. Now we have a new era. This is the era of the people. This is the era of digital media, and we're going to move forward with the best ideas. So Sully, thank you very much. I appreciate the hard questions. And again, ask me the hard questions. That's why I'm here. That's why I continue to broadcast from the back of the bus. And I just want to say thank you for another incredible broadcast. Again, if you're watching this video later, leave me a comment below. Share this video with all of your followers. Let them know, because that's the only way we're going to win this race. I want to thank Harrow. I want to thank Barnet. I want to thank Enfield. And I want to thank all of our friends here today in HARINGEY for having us, for hosting us. I want to thank the police for not pulling us over. And I also want to say I appreciate the police. You have a difficult job, and it's not fair when this becomes a political issue and certain people try to keep us from speaking the truth, but we're going to keep moving forward either way. So that's it. I'm signing off from the Battle Bus Live. We'll be back here tomorrow, touring more boroughs of London. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep going all the way to City Hall. I appreciate you. I appreciate your energy. Again, go to brianformayor.london. You can share. You can donate. You can get. You can volunteer. You can do all that stuff, and we appreciate you. We got 93 days left. Let's make it happen. Free and fair elections on May 6th. We're moving to City Hall. Let's take London in a new direction and make this place a world-class city once again. Thank you so much. It's an honor to serve you. I'll see you next time on Battle Bus Live.